Welcome to today's video. Over the years, I've accumulated things that once felt necessary but now just add clutter to my space and my mind. I want to share with you the things I'm choosing to let go of this year. I've realized how much space they take up both physically and mentally. I'll also be talking about those old pieces of furniture or decor that no longer reflect who I am or the home I want to create. The goal is simple: to make space for what truly matters, to let go of what's holding me back, and to welcome 2026 with a fresh perspective. If you've ever felt overwhelmed by things that no longer serve you, I hope this video inspires you to create the kind of peaceful, intentional home you deserve. Let's start this year with a little less clutter and a lot more clarity. Stay tuned. Now let's talk about impulse buys. As we step into 2026, it's a perfect time to reevaluate the items in our homes, particularly those that represent our old habits and unintentional purchases. For example, a kitchen knife set bought on clearance that's still wrapped in plastic while the set I already own is perfectly functional. I've been guilty of purchasing items simply because they were too good to pass up, like old electronics that I kept thinking I might use someday. The reality is, those items just sit in the corner, taking up space and contributing to clutter without serving any purpose. Similarly, how many of us have clothes that don't fit right or aren't aligned with our current style? I once bought a pair of athletic leggings during a sale only to realize they didn't fit comfortably at all, and now they just hang in the closet collecting dust. Another group of items I've learned to let go of are the just-in-case purchases. For instance, I bought some beautiful dinnerware with the idea of using them for special occasions, but those occasions never came. Now they sit unused in the back of a cupboard. It's easy to see how these types of purchases accumulate over time, adding unnecessary stress to our lives and homes. If you're ready to take your decluttering game to the next level this year, don't miss tomorrow's video. I'll be sharing how I've completely transformed my approach to organizing my home in 2026, making it easier and more meaningful than ever. You'll definitely find this one helpful. Now that we've discussed impulse buys, let's dive into another category that often takes up unnecessary space. Next, let's dive into just-in-case items. The just-in-case items often take up valuable space and add unnecessary stress to our lives. For instance, I kept an old sewing machine in the back of my closet for years thinking I'd use it one day, but it never happened. It was taking up space for no good reason, especially when I realized I could easily hire someone or use modern alternatives to fix things I might want to mend. While it seems practical at the moment, these items usually end up being forgotten in drawers or closets, taking up space without serving a real purpose. I had multiple sets of spare clothes for my children each time I thought I'd use them as they grew, but after they outgrew the clothes, I never needed them again. The same happened with an emergency repair kit I once thought would be essential. But now, since I hire professionals for repairs, it's just sitting in a drawer. I also realized I was holding on to broken items. For example, a fan that stopped working and a washing machine that had been on its last legs for months. I told myself I'd repair them one day, but one day never came. These items were only creating clutter and reminders of tasks that weren't being done. In the spirit of a fresh start, I decided to let go of these just-in-case items. It feels like a huge weight has been lifted off my shoulders, knowing that I no longer need to store things I'll never use. Moving on from those just-in-case purchases, let's talk about duplicate items. Now we move on to duplicate items. These are things we buy because we forget we already have them, or simply because we see something on sale and can't resist. I've found myself guilty of purchasing 2 sets of dishes, not realizing I already had a perfectly functional set at home. It's easy to do, especially when a sale seems too good to pass up, but these duplicate purchases only add clutter to our homes. Another example is buying too many items of the same kind, such as athletic wear shoes or kitchen tools. I once bought multiple sets of workout clothes thinking I might need a variety, only to realize that I always end up using the same few pieces. Similarly, I've accumulated an excess of kitchen gadgets, blenders, peelers, measuring cups that I rarely use. This kind of overbuying happens when we don't stop to assess what we already own, and instead we get caught up in the excitement of finding a good deal. Sometimes we even end up with duplicate items because of well-meaning gifts. Friends or family members might gift us the same item, and while it's thoughtful, it results in more clutter that we don't need. I remember receiving multiple sets of towels from different people, each identical, yet I had no real use for them. Finally, there's the issue of buying decorations that don't add any value. I've picked up several decorative items that were nice at first, but they didn't really complement my home, and ended up sitting unused on shelves. These kinds of purchases are easy to make, but they take up valuable space and don't contribute to the overall harmony of your space. By doing so, we can create a more organized, intentional home and live a more simplified life in 2026. Now that we've cleared out the duplicates, it's time to address another big category. Next up, we're going to talk about bulky, unused items. The space-hogging items can subtly accumulate over time, leaving us with clutter we don't even notice until we stop and look. The biggest culprits for me was a large shoe cabinet that barely got used. I kept it in the hallway because I thought it would be practical, but the truth is I only wore a few pairs of shoes on a regular basis. The cabinet, while functional in theory, took up valuable space without contributing much to my daily life. I've also noticed how easy it is to buy furniture or decor that doesn't really fit the space it's meant for. I once bought a large dining table for my small kitchen, hoping it would make the room look more elegant. But instead, it just made the space feel cramped and uncomfortable. The same thing happened with oversized sofas in my living room that were beautiful but weren't used to their full potential. The pieces looked great in a showroom, but they were impractical for my home. Then there are the gadgets and appliances that take up space but don't get much use. I had a fancy, multi-purpose juicer that I only used for making juice despite it having other functions that I never took advantage of. It sat on the counter, occupying space while I stuck to simpler, more efficient tools for other tasks. I also had old kitchen tools like a mandolin slicer that was too complicated to clean, and over time I stopped using it altogether. Some items in my home no longer reflect my current lifestyle. I used to love vintage decor, but over the years it no longer suited the modern minimalistic feel I now prefer. I also held on to baking tools that I no longer had time for, only to realize they were just cluttering up my kitchen. This year, I've made a conscious decision to let go of these space-hogging items. I've not only cleared up physical space in my home, but I've also made room for the things that truly matter, helping me start 2026 with a lighter, more focused mindset. Now let's talk about sentimental items. Sentimental items, those pieces that hold emotional value but aren't practical or useful anymore. Over the years, I've held on to many things simply because they reminded me of people, moments, or places that once meant a lot to me. I've kept gifts from the past, such as an old necklace from a friend, though I never wear it anymore. The sentimental connection was so strong that I couldn't bring myself to part with it, even though it only took up space in a drawer. I also found myself holding on to belongings from loved ones who have passed away. For example, a sweater from my grandmother, which still carries a deep emotional weight. Every time I look at it, I feel connected to her, but it also brings pain because it reminds me of her absence. I realized I was holding on to these things not because I needed them, but because I didn't want to let go of the memory. However, over time I've learned that keeping these things in my home didn't honor her memory as much as cherishing the time we had together did. There were also old photos and souvenirs from trips I had taken, things I thought I couldn't part with because they were tangible reminders of beautiful experiences. Yet they ended up sitting in boxes hidden away, never really bringing me joy or reminding me of the memories in a meaningful way. I also had old clothing like a jacket that no longer fit, or a dress from an event I thought I would wear again, but never did. These items, though once meaningful, were simply taking up space, making me feel stuck in the past. I also found myself holding on to gifts that no longer held any emotional value, such as my wedding dress. At one point, it symbolized the start of a new chapter, but now it felt like an item I kept only out of obligation, not sentiment. I had convinced myself I should keep it as if doing so would somehow preserve the memory. But I came to realize that the memories aren't in the things that are in the moments and the feelings we carry with us. Letting you go of sentimental items is never easy, but I've found that doing so has brought a sense of peace. It's not about forgetting the past, it's about making room for new memories and experiences. In 2026, I'm choosing to let go of the things I've been holding on to just for the sake of holding on. I'm choosing to keep only what truly adds value to my life today. After parting with sentimental items, it's time to face irreparable or non-reusable things. Next, we're going to address irreparable items. The irreparable or non-reusable items that we often hold on to out of habit, even though we know deep down that they no longer have a purpose in our homes. I used to keep an old refrigerator that had completely stopped working. Every time I opened the door, it reminded me of the many years it had served us. But the reality was, it was just taking up space in the garage doing nothing but occupying valuable room. There's no point in holding on to things that have reached the end of their useful life. I finally had to let it go, realizing that it was not only useless, but also preventing me from organizing that space in a way that could actually benefit us. I've also found that many household items like plastic bags or old containers no longer serve a purpose. Over time, these items pile up, and while we might hope to reuse them, they often end up cluttering drawers or cupboards. Old plastic bags once used for groceries now seem like a forgotten mess. I've learned that holding on to these things only adds to the clutter and makes it harder to keep the house organized. They can't be recycled and they certainly can't be repurposed, so letting them go is the best option. Another issue I've encountered is keeping items that can't be sold or given away. I once had an old blender that no longer worked, and while I considered donating it, I realized no one would want it. It was just too damaged. This realization was freeing because it helped me understand that sometimes it's okay to let go of things that no one else will find useful either. Some items are just plain waste. I used to keep leftover food containers or disposable water bottles, hoping I might reuse them, but they ended up sitting in drawers. Over time, I realized they were only taking up space and adding unnecessary clutter. It became clear that these items weren't contributing anything positive to my life and were just occupying space I could use for something more meaningful. It's not about being wasteful. It's about recognizing that by clearing out the unnecessary, I create room for the things that truly serve me. Now that we've cleared out the broken and outdated items, let's focus on the ones that no longer fit with our current aesthetic. Now let's talk about outdated aesthetic items. The outdated aesthetic items, those decorative pieces or furniture that have lost their appeal and no longer fit the space we've created. I've found that holding on to these things not only takes up valuable space, but also prevents me from fully enjoying the style and comfort I crave in my home. I used to keep old paintings and decorative figurines that I thought were beautiful at the time, but now they just feel out of place. These items, while once meaningful, no longer reflect the modern minimalist style I've grown to appreciate. One particular painting I had on the wall was a landscape I had received as a gift years ago. At first, it was lovely, but as my taste evolved, it felt more like a relic of the past than a meaningful piece of art. Letting go of it was surprisingly freeing, as it allowed me to make room for more contemporary pieces that brought me true joy. I had a large, bulky sofa that once seemed perfect, but it began to overwhelm my small living room. It didn't fit with the clean, open feel I was aiming for, so I finally replaced it with a more streamlined, comfortable option. Similarly, my dining table, which had been a family heirloom, no longer matched the modern light aesthetic I was going for. While it was sentimental, it wasn't serving my lifestyle anymore. I also realized that some household items like old curtains or tablecloths no longer fit my space or my vision. These items had been functional in the past, but they were now outdated and didn't complement the fresh, clean look I wanted to achieve. They were simply taking up space and adding to the clutter. There were also a few items that, despite being visually pleasing, were uncomfortable. I had an armchair that looked nice, but was so stiff that no one enjoyed sitting in it. It served as more of a decoration than a piece of furniture, and I eventually decided it was time to part with it. Similarly, there were electronic gadgets and kitchen tools that had outdated designs and no longer met my needs. They took up valuable counter space without adding any real value to my daily life. Letting go of outdated aesthetic items has made a huge difference in my home. It's not just about getting rid of things, it's about creating a space that truly reflects who I am now, and not who I was in the past. It's about making room for things that bring me joy, comfort, and a sense of peace. Finally, let's dive into inflexible items. For instance, I once had a collection of holiday-specific clothes like elaborate dresses or special occasion shoes that I wore only once a year. These items took up precious closet space and never got used again, so I decided it was time to let them go. Holding on to them felt like a reminder of a lifestyle I no longer led. The same applied to a set of formal dinnerware I bought with the idea of hosting large events, but I never seemed to have those occasions. The pieces sat unused in my cabinets, only serving as space fillers. I also noticed that some of the bags and luggage I kept were too rigid or had very specific functions. One particularly stiff, oversized suitcase could only be used for long trips, and its bulky shape made it impractical for everyday use. I realized that having bags that could serve multiple purposes, like a versatile carry-on or a stylish, spacious tote, was far more practical. Additionally, I had toys for my children that were only suitable for one age group, and as they grew, those toys became irrelevant. These items, though once beloved, were no longer useful, and I knew it was time to pass them on. I also had sports equipment meant for specific activities, like a set of skis I only used once, which I no longer needed. Ultimately, by letting go of these inflexible items, I've created more space and freed myself from the weight of unnecessary possessions. This has allowed me to make room for things that are more adaptable to my life today, bringing me closer to the simple, functional home I want for 2026. Lastly, we'll discuss irrelevant items from the past. Holding on to the items that served us in the past but have since become irrelevant can add unnecessary stress and clutter, preventing us from creating a space that truly reflects who we are now. I used to have a small night lamp and decorative items that were perfect when I lived alone. They brought me comfort and added personality to my space. But now, as a mother with a growing family, those items just feel out of place. The night lamp, which once added a soft, peaceful glow to my room, is no longer practical with the brighter lighting needs of a family space. Similarly, small individual decorations that were cute for a single person now take up space in a room that needs to serve multiple functions. I also realized that many of my old hobbies had changed over time. I used to love hiking and had invested in specialized gear, but those items had been sitting untouched for years. The same goes for sports equipment like tennis rackets and workout gear. I used to be an avid runner, but now with a busy lifestyle and less time for solo activities, Those items no longer fit my needs. Keeping them was just a reminder of a part of my life that no longer existed. Another category I had to let go of was old kitchen items. When I first got married, I collected all sorts of kitchen gadgets, many of which I no longer use, especially since my family's diet has evolved. I had gadgets meant for food prep that don't match our current eating habits, like a pasta maker, which no longer fits into our day-to-day meals. Lastly, I had to let go of toys and furniture from when my children were younger. The toy storage bins filled with baby items no longer had a place, especially since my children have grown. These items were reminders of a stage in life I had already moved past. As we wrap up this journey of letting go of items that represent our old lives, I want to encourage you to see this process not as just decluttering, but as a chance to start fresh. The goal isn't simply to clean up, it's to create space for the life you want to live in 2026. By letting go of items that no longer serve you, you're making room for things that truly align with your current needs and future aspirations. This is a personal process, and I understand it's not always easy. But remember, every small step you take towards clearing out what no longer fits helps you build a home that reflects your present self. You're not just cleaning your space, you're creating a space that supports who you are now and the life you want to live. I'm here with you every step of the way, supporting your decluttering journey. You're not alone in this process. Keep going and know that every item you release brings you closer to a lighter, more peaceful home. Together, let's make 2026 the year of a fresh, intentional start. You've got this.